Hey folks, I'm Jeff, your tabletop technician here in the Dice Tower.
And I'm Melanie.
And we've got a little confession for you.
We love cats.
That's right, we have 3 cats right now. We just adopted little Tigger. He is crazy. Bouncy, flouncy, trouncy, pouncy, fun.
We used to have 5 cats.
That's right. Lots of cats. And as a result, we have a lot of cat board games. Which one you got over there?
I have Cat Lady.
Cat Lady. This is a little drafting set collection game. Pretty fun. We haven't played this in a while. We should try this one out again. Over here, I've got Cat in the Box. This is really doesn't have much to do with cats, but a fun game, sort of an abstract puzzle game. Pretty hard, I think, for you at this point. But yeah, what do they call this? A trick-taking game. That's what it is. What else do you have over there?
I have Boop.
Boop. This is a little 2-player strategy game, almost like a Connect 3, which you have to upgrade your kittens into cats first. A lot of fun. This is a really surprisingly very fun game. Really nice components in there too. We've also got, we've got the Bad Knizia. We've got Calico. Calico is another abstract, kind of a tile laying game. Pretty tricky, this one. There is kind of like a kid mode, if I recall. There's like a family mode. I think you've tried it once. It's a pretty good game. I do like the newer ones, Cascadia and Verdant, a little better, but that's Calico. And what else do you have over there? You got one more. What's this one? This one is
Exploding Kittens.
That's right, folks. We are going to review Exploding Kittens. All right, a quick bit of story time. So we've had this game for several years. It was actually one of the first games that we bought when we were kind of getting into the hobby. And we tried playing this in a little camper that we had purchased, and we were at a campsite, I think, in North Carolina. And it was fun, but it was still a little above your skill level. You were maybe like 6 or 7 at the time, and you didn't really quite get it. So we shelved it for several years. And we actually played this again this year in January for the first time in a while. And
I absolutely loved it.
That's right. You had so much fun with this thing that we played it twice that night. We've already played it 6 or 7 times this year. We even got the Exploding Minions game too, just to kind of try that out. And it's a game that gets a lot of hate in the hobby because it's from the same publishing company that made Cards Against Humanities, which is a very adult, very sort of inappropriate game. But this is a very different game, and I think it gets a lot more shade than it deserves. So today we're going to talk about how to play this game, some of the good parts, some of the bad parts about it, and we're going to talk about why we enjoy it so much. So first, how about we teach how to play? And you think you can handle that?
Yep.
All right, tell them how to play this.
So on your turn, you can play as many cards as you want out of your hand. And at the end of your turn, you draw a card off the top of the draw pile. If you draw an Exploding Kitten, then you'll have to defuse it or you're out of the game.
That seems pretty simple. So tell us a little bit about some of those cards that you might play on your turn.
Some cards might let you shuffle the deck, skip the rest of your turn, or even make someone else play more than one turn.
Yep, multiple turns, yep. And then how do you win this game?
You win the game by being the last person that hasn't exploded.
Gotcha. So we've got lots of luck, lots of card play, lots of kind of big random hands of cards. You got player elimination. You've got everything in a game that a lot of people don't like. So why do you like this game so much?
I like this game because I get to be a jerk to grown-ups and don't get in trouble.
And there you basically have it. Yep, this game is all about trying to stay alive and have that tactical play while you're hurling incendiary mammals at each other. And Mel mentioned that on your turn you can play as many cards as you want. And the first time we played this year, that is what you did. On your first turn, you were just, well, I'm going to play this card, I'm going to play that card. And you were kind of exploring what the cards did, but you didn't really know what you were doing yet at that point. And we explained to you that, it's kind of best to hold on to your cards until you really need them. And, when those Exploding Kittens start to show up, and then you have to actually play to avoid them, that's when the game really starts to light up. And that's when you realize, how to be a jerk.
Yeah, this game is more about saving the cards that you'll need later and then deciding how you're going to use them.
Yep, absolutely. Exploding Kittens is definitely one of those games I think that delivers what we call stand-up moments. You know, these are moments when someone plays a card and suddenly the whole table is surprised, or they erupt into cheers, or you know, there's just a general interest in the game. Even the folks who have been eliminated are usually still immersed in the war, right? They're enjoying the conflict that continues to happen even after they're already out of the game. And the game really kind of helps that happen too, because as Mel mentioned, when you draw the Exploding Kitten, you can play a diffuse card to stay in the game. But then the Exploding Kitten goes back in the deck, right? And you can put it anywhere you want, even right back on top of the deck, because at that point your turn is over. And it's really funny when the next player sees you do that and they're like, oh, you jerk. And then they're trying to figure out, okay, how can I get around that kitten? But it's even funnier when they don't see it happen. Or maybe you tuck it like a couple cards under. You can kind of like count the cards. Like, I'm going to make mom deal with this one. Like, I'm going to skip dad and make mom deal with it. And it's those moments that really just make the game light up and makes it a lot of fun. And like I said, there's a lot of tactical and strategic play here right in this box. But then there's the expansions. Why don't you tell us what the expansions are?
The 3 expansions are Imploding Kittens, Streaking Kittens, and Barking Kittens.
And what does the Imploding Kittens expansion add?
It adds a card, which is the Imploding Kittens card, but this card can't be diffused. The first person that finds it has to flip it face up and anywhere they want in the deck.
Yep.
So it's basically just a ticking time bomb.
That's right. Yeah, it is kind of a ticking time bomb because you kind of know it's coming, especially once it's been flipped face up. And you know how a deck of cards are. You know, they don't always stay nice and neatly stacked. And so you can kind of tell if there's like the white edge of a card sticking out. So tell us a little bit about Streaking Kittens.
The Streaking Kittens adds a card that will let you hold an Exploding Kitten safely.
Yep, and this is a real small, like a 15 card expansion pack. Just a real small pack of cards. And the Streaking Kitten is the highlight of this one because it can let you hold an Exploding Kitten like Mel said, but then there are other cards that can actually require you to give a card to an opponent, which means that you can actually slip someone an Exploding Kitten when they're not expecting it. Yeah, you did this to me once, didn't you?
Best moment of my life.
Yeah. All right, tell us about the Barking Kittens.
The Barking Kittens adds these 2 cards that only react when they're both in play, but I don't really understand them.
Yeah, the Barking Kittens are kind of like this standoff element. If one player plays it and no one else has the other one, nothing happens, but then that player remains vulnerable. That card stays in front of them until the next one enters play. Whoever plays this when there is another card already in play then activates it against the player who has the other one. And that person, well, we don't really know what happens because here's the thing. Our version of the game says that the player who gets caught in the standoff loses half their cards. But if you download the instructions off the internet, it says that that player would explode and they have to defuse the Barking Kitten that they already have. It's kind of a weird, we don't know which one's right. We don't have the one that says exploding and has to be diffused. Also, the stealing half cards, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it just slows the game down, so we just don't really use these.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I do like about the game in general is that you can customize this to the way that you like to play. So we leave a couple cards out that we don't really like. I don't like the garbage collector card. There's also the curse of the cat butt cards that even the designers have said that they kind of wish they hadn't invented because there's a ton of rules around those things. We leave those out. We'll leave out the Barking Kittens, and it kind of just lets us create our own game. So let me ask you this. What is the element that you like the most of playing Exploding Kittens, besides, of course, being a jerk to grown-ups?
I like seeing someone explode because I just feel like that's really, really funny. What's your favorite moment?
My favorite moment, I think, is, as I was talking about earlier, those surprise elements. When you get to do something that really surprises someone, you know, like, for example, when you slipped me the Exploding Kittens card, that was a big surprise that you really enjoyed. But then there are also moments like with that Streaking Kitten card where I had it, and you had an Exploding Kitten card, you diffused it, and then you stuck it in a way that you would make me deal with it, and you were all like, and then I just picked it up, and I said, okay, your turn, and you were like, what?
I did not like that at all.
So, if you haven't figured it out yet, we really do love playing this game. And I suspect that we've got many more plays of this coming up this year. I think this deserves a lot more love than it gets. And, I've read a lot of the comments out on BGG of people saying, it's just a luck game. It's just a dumb card game. Folks, every card game is a luck game. I don't care if you're playing spades. I don't care if it's like Arc Nova. It's always about the luck of the draw. And this game is certainly no exception. And that really brings us to the next element because we've got a little surprise for you. That's right. We're going to do our top 10 favorite cards from Exploding Kittens. We're going to look at sort of our favorite offensive and defensive maneuvers. So let's start with you. What is your number 10?
My number 10 is Potluck.
Potluck. All right, what's this card do?
So this card, when someone plays it, you go around in turn order, placing any card you want from your hand on top of the draw pile. This card is a bit dangerous because if someone else has a streaking and they put an exploding on top, then that's definitely a problem.
Yeah, it can also be maybe a little risky because people may just put something on there that they don't really want. And so even though you'll be drawing back a different card than the one that you put on there, it may not be something that really helps you in the long run. It's just kind of hard to say.
What's your number 10?
My number 10 is Shuffle. This is a really good way, a good defensive card that lets you deal with, especially that Imploding Kitten. This is a way that, if that card's on top, it's a good way to just get rid of it, put it somewhere else in the deck. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Targeted Attack.
Targeted Attack. What's this one do?
So this card, you get to choose any opponent and you can force them to take like 2 or 3 turns.
Yep, it's usually 3 turns. I think it's always 3 turns. And this is one that, a much more offensive card, and they can just kind of say, okay, they've got to draw 3 times, whether they play any cards or not. Now, it's a fun one if you've put an Exploding Kitten out there. It's also fun in like a 3-player game. If they know that you put an Exploding Kitten on top, they can play this back on you to make you then have to deal with your own Exploding Kitten. Because it also forces you to end your turn. Like, your turn's over. You don't actually draw a card once you play that one. So my number 9 is Reverse. This is one we've already talked about. It makes you go in the opposite direction. And so that's one, again, I think it ends your turn. I don't really remember. I think it ends your turn when you play the Reverse. So that's number 9. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Share the Future.
Okay, how does this one work?
So this card will let you take either 3 or 5 cards off the top of the draw pile, rearrange them any order you want, and then show the next person what they're going to get.
Yep, this is a good one if you're like trying to gang up on somebody at the table. Now, okay, here's what I'm going to let you have, here's what I'm taking, and I'm going to make them deal with that one, and you can put them back on top of the deck. So, is that why you like this one? Kind of lets you gang up sometimes on someone? Yeah, you really are kind of a jerk. My number 8 is the Imploding Kitten card. This is one of the bad cards of the game, but I really do enjoy the way that this one works. That sort of, you see it, like, oh boy, here we go, folks. You flip it over, everyone sees, okay, the Imploding Kitten has been found. But when that thing gets to the top of the deck, everyone's just like, oh my god, what do I do to get rid of this thing? And, especially if there's no shuffle cards, it's just a madhouse trying to figure out how to get around this thing. We've also had a couple games where literally your mom and I were playing, and it was the last card left. And so shuffles didn't work, draw from the bottoms didn't work. Like, you just had to be able to skip yourself or target attacks or something to just keep from drawing a card. And that was an intense round. So that's my number 8. Now we're on number 7.
My number 7 is Reverse.
Okay, so I already had this one. Why do you like this one?
Same reason.
Yeah, just a nice little kind of defensive, sort of throw things back their direction, stir things up a little bit. Yep, fun card.
What's your number 7?
My number 7 is Draw from the Bottom. So I mentioned this one, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, someone sticks you with the Exploding Kitten or the Imploding Kitten on top. You can just kind of go, nope, I draw off the bottom of the deck, and that ends your turn. So that is your draw. A good defensive card is sort of like throw something back at someone. So maybe they try to stick you with a card. Now you're sticking the next person with it. They're usually like, oh, great, thanks. Now it's their problem. That's number 7. How about number 6?
My number 6 is I'll take that.
I'll take that. All right, how's this one work?
So when you want to play this card, you'll just stick it in front of your opponent. And then whatever card they draw off the draw pile, they get to look at it, but then whoever gave them the I'll take that, they have to give it to that person.
Yeah, you're basically stealing that card from someone before they even get it. Now, we've seen at least one time that this backfired when I think we were playing with Mr. Shane, one of my coworkers, and he drew the Exploding Kitten card and was like, well, here you go.
Yeah, not my best idea.
Yeah, that one definitely backfired a bit. So my number 6 is the super skip cards. These are 2 different types of cards. So if you have a skip, you just skip your turn. You don't draw a card, and that's it. If you have a super skip, those are useful when someone has hit you with a targeted attack, and you have to take those 3 turns. And the super skip lets you skip all of those turns, and immediately just ends everything and goes on to the next player. So again, a very, very good defensive card. You want to save those super skips for when you really need them.
And I mean, you're only getting rid of 1 card, so that's pretty useful.
Yep, yeah, exactly. You don't have to play a whole bunch of cards to get out of a targeted attack, just 1. Yep, so that's our number 6. What is your number 5?
My number 5 are the stealing cards.
Yeah, why don't you explain how these work?
So the stealing cards, if you play one of them on their own, like let's say the Rainbow Ralphing Cat, if you play just one of them on their own, they aren't that useful. But if you have 2, that lets you steal any card from one of your opponents.
And
so they'll just hold it up like a flag.
Fan.
And you just choose it. Sometimes I like this because sometimes you steal their diffuse or even a streaking if they have it.
Yep, and in fact, well, let me clarify one thing. So the one by itself doesn't do anything. I don't think you can even play one of them by itself. You have to have at least 2 of them. But then you're right, yeah, as long as you have 2 of the same kind. There's also a feral kitten or feral cat, which is a wild. So if you have there's a catermelon, I think, cat. So if you have like catermelon or a beard cat or the Ralphing Rainbow Cat and a feral, then you can just play any of those 2 and you're fine. So my number 5 is the Alter the Future. This is similar to that Share the Future that you mentioned, except for that you don't get to show the next opponent what's coming up. So this is very simply, it lets you draw 3 to 5 of the cards off the draw deck, rearrange them however you want, put them back on. And so this is a really great way if there's a card that you really like, you can move it up to the top, and then and that does not end your turn, so you still get to draw the card on top. So yeah, that's why I like the Alter the Future. That was number 5. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is the Streaking Kitten.
We've talked about this one a bunch. Why do you like this one?
I like this one because of the incident that happened the one time we played when I had the streaking and the exploding in my hand, and my dad had played a card that let me choose which card I wanted to give him. So I had sneaked him the exploding, and he did not blow up, but everyone just started laughing.
Yes, that was a very, very funny moment. Yeah, the Streaking Kitten, I mean, honestly, if you're going to get the Exploding Kittens game, I think the Streaking Kittens expansion is kind of a must because this card is just a fantastic card. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of chance around this card. Definitely a good pick.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is the personal attack card. Now, Mel mentioned the targeted attack, which lets you pick another player to take 3 turns. But with the personal attack, you actually force yourself to draw 3 cards. And I think this one comes from the Barking Kittens expansion, if I remember. But this is a really good card to play, especially if you time it with an Alter the Future. And if there's a couple cards that you've drawn that you really like, you're like, well, gosh, I kind of want all of these. I'm going to play a personal attack, and I'll take all those cards. And again, the whole idea of this game is to save the cards for when you really need them. So if you play a personal attack, that just gives you a good chance to fill your hand up with some extra cards and maybe stay in the fight longer. Because a lot of times, whoever has the biggest hand at the game, towards the end of the game, might be the one who has the better chance of staying alive. So that was number 4. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is the favor card.
What's this one do?
This card is one that you just choose a player, and that's the card that will make them give you a card of their choice. So that's what my dad had played when I had sneaked him the Exploding Kitten.
Yep, yeah, so this card, you just pick someone and they just have to give you a card of their choice.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is that Streaking Kitten that we've mentioned a couple times for all the same reasons. There's tons of fun around this card. My number 3, this Streaking Kitten. So that's 3. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Alter the Future, like you had talked about.
Yep. And what do you like this one?
Same
thing. Yep, it kind of lets you rearrange the deck a little bit. And also, this is the one card early in the game that's good to play.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Atomic Bomb. This is one that we haven't talked about yet. This one is, it's a highly offensive card, a very, very dangerous card to play. And this is one that you definitely play if, okay, hey, you know what, I'm almost done with my drink. We're kind of ready to go home. Let's wrap this game up a little bit. You play the Atomic Bomb, and you have to then go through the draw deck. You pull out all the Exploding Kittens, and you put them on top of the deck, face down, all right on top. And everyone sees you do it. Like, okay, here we go. And it's just like, good luck, have at it. Now, of course, if someone plays a shuffle, it pretty much negates it almost right away. That was our number 2. Let's get to our number 1 card. What have you got?
We both chose the card. Nope.
That's right. We were supposed to say it at the same time, weren't we?
I think so. I don't know.
So tell them what the Nope card does.
This card you can play at any time. It doesn't even have to be your turn. Mm-hmm. But, like, say someone plays, I'm going to shuffle the deck. You can instantly play a Nope, which then lets them, like, not be able to take that.
It just shuts their card down. Yeah, it basically just cancels their action. This one is a ton of fun. It's especially fun if you've got like 2 of them and you can just kind of like shut someone down, especially when you've like, okay, Exploding Kitten cards on top, good luck. And they go, oh, well, I'm going to skip. Nope. Oh, you suck. Okay, well, then I'm going to shuffle. Nope.
Yeah, we did that to one person before.
Yep, you went after Mr. Shane really hard with the Nope cards. You skipped, or you noped 2 of his cards. He played a 3rd one. I noped it because at that point it was just funny. And that was it. That was his last thing. And so he just blew up. And that's our top 10. That is Exploding Kittens, Imploding Kittens, Streaking Kittens, and Barking Kittens. Like I said, I highly recommend Streaking Kittens. Imploding is also a lot of fun. Barking Kittens you can probably get by without. And again, the fact that you may think this is too many cards, well then you can take out some of the stuff that you don't really want to use. You can maybe reduce some of the numbers of cards to keep things interesting and keep things quick, although it's not really a long game. So anyways, that is Exploding Kittens in the expansions. I'm Jeff.
I'm Melanie.
And we will catch you the next time. Cheers. Oh my God, I was so scared.